I'm going to talk about it with a little bit of a heavy heart because this is a company I followed since even before the name was announced. I followed Cliff Bleszinski since Gears of War 1 was announced, and somebody I really looked up to. In fact, I was so hyped whenever I was watching this documentary, and his desk had like Transformers on it. He had like all these statues. It was basically like a man cave desk, and even had like the Lancer next to him. And I don't know, he was just such a little kid. He was so energetic, and I loved that. I wanted to be that. I've applied to Epic multiple times, and I even wanted to work at Bosskey Productions, but it seems like these big companies, even though I went to a college that very much taught us how to be a cog in the machine, it seems like I don't quite fit. It seems like players, like real colorful players, which have gone on to make the best games objectively on the planet, they don't really fit in these kind of games, not in these kind of systems. And Cliff Bleszinski was definitely a cog, and he wanted to still have that same mentality, I think, when he created Bosskey Productions. But the thing is he didn't know how to make the entire machine around it. So that's why he got Nexon for Lawbreakers and that just shit everywhere. And then he scrambled to make a new Battle Royale game, which the server's going to be up for a little bit longer, but that shit the bed too. So the gameplay in the background is from my stream. Sorry if it's not the perfect quality. In fact, you might actually catch that there are some bots I'm playing with. Yeah, day one, there were absolutely freaking bots in that game. Probably input specifically from Bosskey Productions. I played a few games that also did the same. It had a lot of other issues, but that was the main one that really ticked me off. So we can talk about specifically why Radical Heights failed. And I guess we can also just kind of elaborate a little bit more on Bosskey Productions. But basically, we're going to first read a letter here. Okay? This is from Cliff Bleszinski. It says, as of today, Bosskey Productions is effectively no more. 4 years ago, I set out to make a world-class video game studio, and I hired some of the best talent in the video game industry, which frankly, you wouldn't be able to tell if you played Radical Heights. Basically, any random college students that made a team together could have made a better game. Next. They worked tirelessly to produce quality products, sure. And while we had our ups and downs, mostly downs, I'd like to think we had fun doing it. That's good. Inject some humanity. I like it. Lawbreakers was a great game. No, it wasn't. That unfortunately failed. Not fortune, you had a bad publisher, to gain traction. And in a last-ditch attempt, we scrambled to do our take on the huge Battle Royale genre. Your take? Mostly it was a clone. With Radical Heights, which was well-received. No, it wasn't. However, it was too little, too late. Yeah, it was very late and very too little, and it seriously looked like you just shit it out for the previous day. It was bad. It's a bad game. What? Well received? No, it was bad. You even wanted to make it pay to win day one, and then we called you out on it. No, had bots. It was poor. You also designed a game that slotted it in between the most competitive market right now, which was right in between Fortnite with its chaos and silliness, as well as H1Z1, which is also arcade. And you didn't really have that many new mechanics. You didn't have like any crafting mechanics, building mechanics. You didn't have any unique guns. You had vehicles, or the skateboard, or I don't know. You had a BMX bike, but yeah, you didn't have a skateboard. I think it would have been cool if you had a skateboard, BMX bike, rollerblades. It would have been cool if you actually had a more Tony Hawk approach. I think actually Radical Heights, if you basically made Tony Hawk the Battle Royale, had like a spray paint and like Nerf guns and super soakers, that shit probably would have done great. That would have been fantastic. Make Jackass the Battle Royale. But you didn't. You didn't have that sort of vision. You didn't have that passion. And also with the your self-publishing of Radical Heights, you actually did a poor job with the monetization. Again, you also did a poor job of advertising. You basically just did a bad job all in all. And you know what? A lot of people could have told you otherwise. For Lawbreakers and Radical Heights, could have and did tell you what you should have done. I actually remember, Cliff, hopefully you're watching. You're not. You said in contention, because a lot of people were talking about Nexon, because you announced that you were going to partner with Nexon. People were like, no, don't do that. This is going to fucking suck. Your game will die. And you said, no, their portfolio is amazing. It is perfect for the game that we are creating. Well, I think you know how that turned out, don't you? Yeah. Well, continuing on with the letter. As for myself, I'm going to take some time off and reflect. I need to focus on myself and my family, as well as my Aussie, Teddy, who's slowly fading from really sympathy. Anyways, video games will forever be a part of who I am. And I hope to make something new again someday. However, I need to withdraw and take this time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, because I think you forgot what it means to be a player. And I think you can actually see this trend with a lot of the developers of BioShock going and making their own games, a lot of veteran MMO developers making new MMOs that they're heading themselves, and it's a lot of these games aren't maybe they're okay, but they're not great. They're not great games. They're not perfect games. They're not the holy crap games that they were a part of back in the day. And in my opinion, it's because they learned to be good cogs in a machine of a team, and they had passion back then. But then they kind of became too stagnant, and all they know how to do is be a cog. And in fact, when I went to Full Sail, that's how they were teaching us to make games is, okay, you're going to do this very one specific thing, and we're going to slot you into a machine. But the best games ever are the ones that are super creative and new, just straight from players. Even some mods, right? Some mods and these custom games and stuff like Halo or, Gary's mod or whatever. These branch off and make the best games. The most popular games on the planet are all branches from, these other disconnected games. Or they're like actual mods. So players, in my opinion, make the best games. They make the best games. They make the best worlds, especially for online games, which is something that we'll elaborate on. And I think Cliff Bleszinski was a good cog in Epic. I think they had fun and made good games. That's why I followed him, wanted to be like him. But then when he went to Bosskey Productions, he didn't know how to make the machine, and it all just fell apart. So continuing on with the letter, it says, to those who have supported myself in the studio for the last 4 years, misspelled of course, thank you from the bottom of my heart and everyone who came to work for me. Oh yeah, right there where he says everyone who came to work for me. He's directly talking to them because they had no fucking idea that they would be fired. Yep, they found out from this announcement. Sweet. Please note that the service for Radical Heights will remain up for the near future. Thanks again, Cliff. Fuck yourself. I actually wanted to work for Bosskey Productions. I wanted to make content on Lawbreakers. I did. Didn't get much traction, but I still had passion for it. Even though I knew it was going to fail in the end, it was that desperation because I saw the uniquity in the game. Same thing with Gigantic. I saw where it was going. I wanted to fix it. Actually, same for a lot of games. I have never been wrong about a game. It's just so very clear what's happening. I think as YouTubers, as people who can, we make our job based on trends. We clearly see what is going up, what's going down. We know what people are talking about and how people feel. We are the community. These content creators like me, we really got a good feeling about these sort of things. And I think that if we were put in positions to relay that information or directly touch a game in some way, I really think we could do some good. But in the end, what happens is these companies, they're so disconnected from the actual player base, from their actual audience. They're disconnected from the world, basically. They have this idea of a good game, and Lawbreakers technically, as in literally, technologically, physically as a video game, the mechanics, the graphics, blah, blah, blah. You can't say it's a bad game, but there's a lot of reasons why to say it's not a good game, especially in consideration that it's an online game. And I've said this so many times in so many recent videos, but online games need a good publisher. They need these in-game events, these updates, this transparency. There's so much to it, especially if you're making a competitive game. Hey, maybe you should mention your plans for a competitive season, some esport events. You should be pushing that. You shouldn't just shit out a game and think, oh man, we did a good job. It's got polish. We threw money at it and think it's just going to be good. In fact, the opposite. You can actually shit out a shit game and then throw money into the publishing and into the online events, into the community, and that would actually make it more popular. You would make more money. We've seen that with mobile games. So these people are completely disconnected of what makes an online game actually good. So no, Lawbreakers, it was not good. And then in the case of Radical Heights, in both cases, publishing and development, it was shit. It was bad. It was not good. It was not good. Could have been cool, if Tony Hawk the VR game, but it wasn't. It was half-assed. The aesthetic was half-assed. The graphics were half-assed. Netcode, there were bots in it. It was just bad. It was just actually bad. And if you worked on this game, I feel sorry for you that this is on your record now. And I just want to say one more time that I just think that Cliff Bleszinski forgot what it meant to be as a player. He was no longer a player. He no longer had that heart and soul. And he writes like he did. He injects this humanity into these letters and to his Twitter posts, but no, these games didn't have the heart and soul of League of Legends or Overwatch or Fortnite even, which started out as a clone game. But then, you turned out look at that. Fantastic. These games have heart and soul and they go places. And the games that Bosskey was making just didn't. And it sucks because I was there from the very beginning, watching as they completely ignored everything anybody said contrary to their own design ideas. Wow, man, you're an industry veteran. Fuck you. I don't trust any industry veteran anymore. Over this past year, more than ever, especially with Kickstarter games, we're seeing so many veterans just shit all over their own communities and betray, I think, their original, more childish and creative endeavors back in the day. Those design concepts have been forgotten, and they're definitely not doing anything new. So Lawbreakers was kind of interesting. And, to an extent, if I squint real hard, Radical Heights could have been cool. Again, Jackass the BR game. But these are online games. And not only that, but there was also some design flaws, obviously, that were disconnected from the community and from the market. But all in all, really, what really hurt these games was that you didn't really make a world. You didn't really make a community. You weren't designing the game around that. You weren't advertising correctly. You weren't creating these events. You didn't have the right monetization, everything that you could lump into marketing and publishing, you did bad. And in an online game, that's really important. I just remember the days of playing Halo, and we would just open up a lobby. We just, play some custom games, Simon Says, shit like that. Even though it was an arena game, and it wasn't meant to be played like that in a way, we played it like that. I know you guys do it in Team Fortress 2, probably now in the new Far Cry. A lot of games, maybe even Fortnite. You could just kind of mess around and do cinematic stuff. Because the game gives you a little bit extra. There's more tools, there's a little bit more freedom. And you'd think in a game like Lawbreakers, you'd have some more freedom, but no. The game was just really small. It was really small-minded. You had a single gimmick, but you didn't go plus ultra. All the best games in the world have really creative gimmicks, but they also go plus ultra. They also go above and beyond, and they do more. They don't just make a cool game with a fun gimmick that just happens to run okay, I guess. Sure, you can have a cool physical game, but if it's an online game, especially you're trying to make these competitive games, my dude, you have to go above and beyond. You have to make a living, breathing world to facilitate the community that then is truly what your game is. Your game isn't yours. It's ours. And you betrayed us because you forgot what it was like to be us. So Bosskey Productions, pretty much from the very beginning, I was saying that things were going downhill. It came true, but that's me. I'm a player. I can see these things happening. And until developers listen, I guess this is going to keep happening. Anyways, guys, whatever game you're playing,